Hello, and welcome to another episode of Adamo Baseball, where I'm your host, Adamo. And in this episode, I'm going to be covering the Kansas City Royals. I am feeling happy. So, this one feels weird to me. I have them picked to finish last in the American League Central, though they do have some serious talent on their team that could actually push them further up. If they can hold on to the lineup talent that they have, then build up their rotation, you're looking at a winner. But one, I'm not convinced by their rotation, and two, I'm just not sold. They've made some moves this offseason. They've actually made quite a few moves, but I just don't see it. So I'm going to go ahead and get into it, and as always, I'm going to start with the lineup. Leading off, Whit Merrifield, right field. So it looks like the Royals moved him from second base to right field. I don't know why, but he's been like the Royal for about the last 3 years now. He's been hands down their best player. He made the All-Star game, I want to say 3 years ago. There wasn't an All-Star game last year, and I don't know if he was on it the year before. But he's been a pretty good, consistent player. Batting second, who don't be surprised to see him leading off a few times this season, Andrew Benintendi, left field. He cut his teeth with the Red Sox, won a World Series with them. He was homegrown talent there, and he made a name for himself either leading off or batting second. He's in the right spot in the lineup. And yeah, he's a pretty good ball player, like all around. He's not going to jack it out of the park on any given night, but he hits, and he can play the field like he's supposed to. Yes, I'm a little biased. He's one of my favorite players. And I'm a Red Sox fan, so obviously I like Andrew Benintendi. The Royals and Red Sox pulled off the trade, and frankly, I think the Royals got themselves a pretty good ball player. Batting third, this is a rare situation, but I get it. Catcher, Salvador Perez. So, Salvi, as he's often called. When he's on top of his game, he's one of the best catchers in baseball. That being said, there are some years when he's not. The last time he made the All-Star game, it wasn't because he played well, because he did not play like an All-Star that year. I want to say it was 2 years ago. He made the All-Star game because the Royals needed a rep. And frankly, he shouldn't have been there. They just had nobody else. So he was picked, but when he is playing like an all-star, he actually is like top 5. And it's not just because he is a really good catcher. He actually is one of the few catchers in baseball you can put third in the lineup and not regret it. Batting fourth, one of the few offensive pieces that the Cleveland baseball team, the Cleveland question marks, had for quite a while, Carlos Santana, first base. He's batting cleanup for the Royals now. Don't be shocked if the Royals' home run totals go up. He does have that kind of an impact on a team. So, in the last episode, I was talking about how they had Francisco Lindor and Jose Ramirez. Those are the two guys that were usually in the MVP conversation. Carlos Santana was a pretty solid third best player on a team, offensively speaking. And offensively speaking, for the Royals, he may actually be their best player. Actually, he might be their best player. I know first base doesn't have to move around a lot, but they do have to play the position. And he's pretty good at that too. Batting fifth, this one should come as no shock to nobody, or come as no shock to anybody, because I don't like using double negatives. Jorge Soler, designated hitter. I think it was 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, he had 40 home runs. And yes, he can still hit with that kind of power. That's what you want from your five guy, especially when you got Carlos Santana hitting cleanup. So, yeah. All right, so 6 through 9, these are the guys I had to look up. I recognize the names, at least two of them. But I had to look these guys up because I can't just spontaneously talk about them like the first five. Batting sixth, Adalberto Mondesi, shortstop. From a position playing viewpoint, it's not bad, but from a hitting perspective, he's pretty inconsistent. It's not really what you want from, I know shortstops aren't really known for being like power hitters, but some years he'll hit 270, others he'll hit 225. So, he's about in the right spot. He doesn't put it out of the park a lot. Number 7, Hunter Dozier, third base. I had him confused with somebody else. And turns out Hunter Dozier hasn't really been playing that long. I don't know, it looks like he plays pretty decent, but there's not really a lot to say. Number 8, all right, so I've seen this guy play in person. Michael A. Taylor, center field. He usually plays either a backup, just backup outfielder in general, because he can play the field. He really, he can cover the different positions in the outfield. He actually is a pretty good center fielder. When it comes to the bat, he's really inconsistent. He was a national for quite a while. He was on that World Series team in 2019, so he's got a ring. In fact, of the Royals lineup, he's the only player with a ring. Bear in mind, it was 6 years ago when they won the World Series. But yeah, Michael A. Taylor won it with the Nationals in 2019. But his primary issue is inconsistency at the plate. So, he can cover the field. He actually is a good center fielder. But he's not consistent at the plate. And he doesn't usually play the whole season. Not because of injury, well, sometimes because of injury, but usually because he's a backup. Number 9, Nicky Lopez, second base. Last year was his first season. There's really not much else to say. So, going on to the rotation. That's kind of a mixed bag. And I don't have a lot of hope for it. Rotation. Their number 1 guy in the rotation, Brad Keller. I've heard of him. Now that I've said his name. He's had a couple of good years, but not really. Number 2 in the rotation, yeah, I just skipped right over that, is Mike Minor. Okay, so a couple of years ago, he was in the Cy Young conversation with names like Justin Verlander while he was in Texas. He was in Texas for 3 years. Throughout his career, which is a lot longer than I thought it was, he's had a couple of good seasons, but he's had a lot of bad seasons too. And I don't know that he's going to be able to replicate that Cy Young performance, Cy Young level performance that he had a couple of years ago. So maybe not. Third, Danny Duffy. He's kind of a fan favorite in Kansas City, but I don't know why. He's a good relief pitcher, but he's not a starter. He's not good. Pitching fourth, Brady Singer. He's only pitched a couple of years and really didn't do anything fantastic. And pitching fifth is Chris Bubic. Last year is his first season, and he really didn't pitch that well. So yeah, that's the whole rotation. There's not really much to go on here. I don't see any one of those 5 winning 15 games. If they do, it's solely off of run support. I don't see them having fantastic ERAs to any extent of the imagination. We're looking at 4s and above. Their closer, Greg Holland. Okay, so he's had a mixed bag career. He's the one pitcher, or he's actually the one good player for the Royals that was on those World Series teams. He was there in 2014 and 2015. And he was a consistent closer at the time. And the following year, he had, I think, 41 saves in Colorado. Since then, it's... So, could he return to that form? Absolutely. Do I expect him to return to that form? No. I don't like to see people fail. I don't like to see anybody fail. But I don't necessarily see him returning to that 30 to 40 save vicinity. Whereas their bullpen actually isn't bad. As a bridge to Greg Holland, Josh Stalmont and Wade Davis. Wade Davis has had time as a starting pitcher. Keep him out of the starting pitching role. Okay, he's a good reliever. He's not a good starter. And what I saw for Josh Stalmont, he actually does look like he's a pretty good reliever. So there's that. The Royals lineup is pretty good. Their pitching staff is not so much. And outside of those 2 or 3 guys, now, if you got 2 or 3 guys in the bullpen that are pretty good, then obviously you're doing something right. But I think they're going to be worn out because they're going to be forced to pitch too many innings. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot to like with this lineup, but I think that there's a lot of problems with this lineup. So, I wouldn't get my hopes up. And I still got them finishing last. And that's only because I think that a lot of the Tigers' homegrown talent's going to start to pay off. So, I don't think it's happening for the Royals this year. 2 or 3 years down the road, if they can hold on to some of that talent, then yes, if they can get actual consistent pitching, which has been a problem for them for a long time, if they can get consistent pitching, then they can make another run at the Central. But it's going to be a while, or it's going to be at least a couple of years. Those are my thoughts on the Kansas City Royals. And if you'd like to let me know your thoughts, you can do so on Patreon. You can support me there. I have a website, eladamo89.wixsite.com/AdamoBaseball. It's a mouthful, yes. But that is my website. I got a blog, and I'm pretty sure you can comment there if you want to. And with that being said, thank you for listening and watching. Cheers until next time.